Hi, my name is Ori the Fanfic Guy, and today I'll be reading What They Grow to Be, a Harry Potter fanfiction written by Miliadoc Brandybuck that you can find on archiveofourown.org. The story follows an original character named Ashley Diggory, the younger sister of Cedric Diggory, the very popular Hufflepuff heartthrob. She spent her whole life in the shadow of her brother, especially in the eye of her father Amos and following the death of her mother when she was 1 year old. However, when Ashley starts at Hogwarts in the same year as Harry Potter, she finds herself not only making lifelong friends, but also discovering there is more to life than a name. Chapter 1. Meant to Meet. Harry opened the door to Madame Malcolm's robes for all occasions and let himself inside of the small, dusty, but nonetheless welcoming shop. The gentle tingling of the bell on the door was absorbed by the many robes and dresses hanging around Harry. To one side were brightly colored cloaks and velvets, silks, and all the luxurious materials you could wish for. Harry ran his fingers through them whilst he peered around for Madame Malkin. There was a young man, about 14, leaning against the counter and casually tossing some sort of bright candy into his mouth. He had off-blonde hair, was quite tall, and very handsome, and he shot Harry a small smile as he caught him observing him. Harry opened his mouth to say hello, but he was interrupted. "I'll be with you in a moment." Harry peered past the rows of black Hogwarts robes and spotted the source of the voice. Madame Malcolm was a stout but welcoming woman in brightly colored robes. They swished as she bustled over to Harry. "Hogwarts first year?" she asked, and answered herself before giving Harry a chance to speak. "Thought so. Come with me." Madame Malkin led the bewildered Harry to the back of the shop, nodding with familiarity at the boy by the counter. Harry wondered why he was just standing there. He didn't seem to be buying robes. "Stand here," Madame Malcolm said, gesturing for Harry to step up onto a small stool. "You're quite skinny, aren't you?" she said more to herself, before hurrying off to get the robes to measure against Harry. Harry turned to look away from Madame Malkin and realized, for the first time, that he wasn't alone in this area of the shop. Standing just across from him, on her own stool, was a girl who looked to be about Harry's age. She was stunningly pretty beyond her years, with long curled golden blonde hair that fell in waves about her shoulders. Her eyes were as blue as the ocean waves, and when she smiled at Harry, noticing him looking at her, these eyes shone and a dimple popped on her cheek. The black robes draped around her did not do her justice. Harry blinked to stop himself from staring. He had never really been flustered around girls before, but there was something different about this one. "Are you starting too?" she asked, catching Harry off guard. He blinked at her for a moment, before swallowing hard and remembering how to speak. "At Hogwarts, yes," Harry said through his dry mouth. "Cool." She genuinely seemed happy about his answer. "Me too. Second in my family to go. I've been waiting so long. Do you have siblings there or anything?" the girl asked, brushing a strand of hair out of her eyes with an oversized black sleeve. "No," Harry shook his head. "I don't know anyone there, actually, except the gamekeeper." "Hagrid?" the girl asked. Harry nodded. "My brother talks about him all the time. He says he's lovely." "He is," Harry agreed with a nod. "What's your name?" the girl asked. "Maybe we could be friends, seeing as you don't know anyone, and I just know my brother and a couple of others from the next village." Harry nodded, wishing he had the sense of mind to stop being such an idiot. He then remembered she had asked him a question. His heart sank. Everyone so far had treated him like a celebrity, one he didn't feel like. He already hated it, and if it meant he couldn't make friends too... "Harry," he said in a quiet voice. The girl blinked at him in recognition, her blue eyes widening a little. Harry waited, bracing himself, but he was surprised when the girl simply smiled back. "I'm Ashley," she said. Harry frowned at her. The smile she was giving him said she did know who he was, but she had chosen not to mention it. Harry smiled back at her, relieved. He tried hard to think of another conversation starter, to keep talking to her, but he was distracted by Madame Malcolm returning and pulling a black robe over Harry's head. "That brother of yours is out there waiting," Madame Malcolm said to Ashley, gesturing with a nod to the boy standing by the counter. Madame Malcolm left Harry's robe to walk to Ashley and help her take hers off, careful to keep the pins in place. "Best not to keep him waiting. I should imagine your dad is not far off." "Correct," Ashley said to Madame Malcolm, adjusting her hair, fluffing out the curls. She was still smiling that bewitching smile. She was wearing a crisp blue jumper that perfectly matched her eyes. "He took the day off from the ministry to get us supplies." "Send him my best." Madame Malcolm waved her wand and the robes magically shrank to Ashley's size. Madame Malcolm then wrapped them in paper and handed them to Ashley. "And to Cedric. I look forward to the owl telling me you're Hufflepuff too." "I will do," Ashley smiled in thanks. "Although Dad thinks I'll be in a different house to Ced." For the first time, her smile faltered. Harry recognized that expression, however brief, as one that indicated turmoil at home. He felt, not for the first time, that he and Ashley were supposed to meet, that they had more than just Hogwarts in common. Ashley smiled widely at Harry, clutching her parcel to her chest. "I'll see you on the train?" she asked. Harry nodded. "I'll see you later, Harry," she said, before turning with a swish of her curls and walking over to the boy by the counter. "You all good to go?" Cedric asked his little sister before they both headed for the door. Just as Ashley opened the door to leave, she turned and waved at Harry. He waved back absent-mindedly, noticing how Ashley was then distracted by a boy with pale blonde hair entering. "Lovely girl, that one," Madame Malcolm said conversationally, not noticing the exchange that went on between Ashley and the new boy, who looked at her with a sneer that she returned. "The whole family is. Do you know the Diggorys at all?" Harry shook his head. "Terrible lot, being raised without a mother." Madame Malcolm shook her head and tutted before getting back to work on Harry's hem. Harry looked over to where Ashley had just left. More than ever, he felt he and Ashley were meant to meet. This has been Chapter 1 of What They Grow to Be, a Harry Potter fanfiction written by Amelia Doc Brandybuck. I'm Ori the Fanfic Guy, and if you like what you've heard, please comment down below with other stories you'd like for me to read, and like and subscribe as well.